Hey everyone, welcome. Happy Saturday to you. Again, as always, I hope you're staying safe out there and I hope you're doing good, productive dog training. Yesterday, I talked about habituation, the learning process in which a response to a particular stimulus decreases with constant exposure to it, and if it's exposed to it repetitively, over and over and over again. And I gave some examples yesterday about if you bought a clock and you put it in the office in which you work, first couple of days you're going, oh my gosh, all I do is hear this thing go tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. But after a couple of days, you don't even notice it anymore. You have habituated to that clock. And you came up with a couple of them this morning. I'm just going to pass my little microphone over here to Joshua.
Yeah, how many of you right now are aware that you're wearing a watch? You are now, because I just brought it up.
Yeah, I am now.
But prior to me saying that, you were not aware that that watch is on you because you have habituated to that sensation. How many of you have been looking for your glasses and they're on top of your head and you're going, where did I put my glasses at? You found out they're on top of your head. Yeah, you habituated to that feeling on the top of your head. And funny enough, this morning, Bryan, he's about to start doing some live coaching with a virtual class that he was working with, and he goes, hey, that barking dog, it's got to move because it's way too loud for this class. And I had to stop there and go, oh yeah, there is a dog barking, isn't there? Because
yeah.
I'm in that room all the time. I have habituated to the sound of that dog barking. So
Yeah, it's pretty funny because he was in a big training room and I walked in there and we're going to do this live coaching thing that I had planned for this morning in that room. But of course, all I hear is this woof, 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 woof. I go, okay, that dog needs to go somewhere else. Go give it another run to stay in, put it out back, do whatever you need to do, because that's going to be killing me during trying to teach this live coaching. And of course, all the trainers, including Mackenzie, who's filming right now, they all look at me like, what dog? And welcome to habituation. But at the end of the day, I'm going to put this little microphone up here because he's done talking. He's going to start showing now. So at the end of the day, habituation is a good thing and a bad thing. I want to show you a couple of bad things with it today as far as leash handling goes. We see it so much. You're walking your dog and the leash is constantly tight. It's always tight. The slack is always tight. Well, if that happens, then you start to wonder, why does my dog continue to pull me? Why does my dog sound like a freight train going down the street going, hey, hey, hey? Because it has habituated to the pulling leash, making you even pull harder to become noticeable. And I talked about it yesterday that for animals, they have a flood of information coming into their heads all the time. Wild animals, what is important, what is not. So they filter out all the information flooding into their head from their various senses, and they filter it all the way down to what is the most important thing at this moment, the most important feature in my environment. Dogs are no different. You're walking your dog. What is important to your dog? What feature is important to your dog? Well, it should be you. You should be the most important feature. But if it becomes those smells where other dogs have been, if it becomes that passing dog or that passing person, the bicyclist, you name it, then that's an animal who's leaning on that leash, doesn't even feel you anymore. You're pulling, it doesn't feel you. And what happens is that you end up having to pull harder. Whereas if you've done your training properly in the beginning where you have a slack leash, then anytime you pull on it at all, the dog's going to immediately take notice to that. We see it also when creating a sit. A lot of people pull up, but they don't pull enough. And next thing you know, the animal habituates to that pulling. So just know this. If you see that happening and you find yourself having to constantly increase the signal, then you're probably battling with habituation from a bad side. Now in a future video, we'll talk about habituation on the good side. How we use it to desensitize an animal to certain situations. In fact, we had that little conversation yesterday back and forth where Joshua says, well, which one is it? Is it habituation or are we trying to desensitize? And I said, I think it's your starting point. And that's where I go with it all the time. Where am I starting? If I'm starting with something fearful, then it's more desensitize first, and then through the period of desensitizing the animal, it will eventually habituate to that thing that caused it to have fear. If it's just an outside noise and a nuisance, like a car going by, the dog's not fearful of it, it's just a lot of cars going by, then the animal can eventually habituate. It won't even notice the car going by, just like you, because you're so busy training your dog. But let us kind of show you right now. Joshua's going to work with this dog here. And go ahead and introduce the dog, Joshua.
This is Reagan.
This is Reagan. I'll go ahead because you don't have the microphone.
Yeah, I don't have the mic. Reagan's here for our reactive program. She's very high energy dog.
Yeah, this is Reagan. She's here for a reactive dog program that we have for a board and train, in which if she sees other dogs, she becomes very reactive to that dog. So us, what we're going to do is a two-phase approach in which they will finally just blend together. One is desensitize the animal to the presence of other dogs, meaning that's not to deactivate all the way, it's to simply make the threshold of what I react to go higher, a higher threshold. That is the goal of desensitizing your animal. However, habituation, it means I just simply want you to ignore it. I want you to ignore it. So with reactive dogs, you may never get to a habituated sense. You may never make it that far, but you can certainly raise the threshold of what the animal will react to. But let us show you what a little tight leash can do. So if Josh is walking this dog right now, Reagan, if that leash is constantly tight, hold it with two hands like a lot of people do when they're walking. There we go. If he does this enough, this dog will habituate to that snug leash, now requiring Joshua to do so much more to get the dog to respond the way it should respond. In other words, to quit pulling him. Okay, Joshua, go ahead and turn around. Okay, so now, Joshua, let's go ahead and come to a halt real quick and pull up on that leash. So now look how much he has to pull. Pull more, and there we go. Now, trust me, if you did this right in the very beginning, if you did not allow the animal to have that tight leash going down the street like that, then you would not have to pull as much to create the sit. You wouldn't have to. So again, we always want that slack leash. So let's see if we can get just a little bit of slack in that leash, Joshua. Let's try it out now.
Watch how subtle my tension in that leash now has to be to get her attention if you want to.
Yes, so Joshua just said, now watch how subtle his leash handling is to get the dog's attention. He barely has to do anything, whereas before, with habituation, he has to do a whole lot. So now let's see. There we go. So now just a little bitty tug on the leash, a little bitty snap on the leash. Look at the dog now paying attention. Look at Reagan now starting to pay a little bit more attention to Joshua. There we go. Good. So now all of a sudden, if we just train our dogs using the proper techniques. So remember back in the day, go back on some of those very first videos. Step right, pull right. All those things. Don't pull back with the left hand because that will create what we're talking about right now. And that's a bad thing. Turn left into the dog. All those videos that we showed you on how to create a dog that will walk with you with a slack leash. A slack leash creates more of a slack leash, and also any other signal that you have to give to your dog, you can give it real subtly. With not a lot of power, not a lot of force, because that signal now, as soon as Joshua does it, stands out. It's an important feature, the most important feature of the environment right now. All right, great job, Reagan. She's such a sweetheart. Oh, you are a doll indeed. She is. So guys, pay attention to habituation. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. Talk mostly about a bad thing today. In an upcoming video, probably sometime next week, I will show you and demonstrate to you on a good thing, how to use it on your favor, help you out, be your friend, not be your enemy. Okay, guys, that's it for the day. Again, as always, if you found this information beneficial, please share it. And remember, tomorrow is Mother's Day.
You're welcome.
Tell your mother how much you love her. Take time to do that. Moms are the most important human beings on the planet. Simple as that. I'm a father, and I'm going to tell you that right now. It's the mom. It's always the mom. So reach out to your mother no matter where she is. You probably haven't seen her in a while because you've had to maintain separation from her. Let her know what she means to you. Okay, so make sure you do that. And I'm going to tune in with you tomorrow on Mother's Day. Absolutely. See you guys then.